So welcome to today's webinar, professional development session on helping the struggling online learner. And Marcella is our host today. Thanks, Marcella, for taking care of all of that. So our objectives this morning are to identify, or this afternoon, to identify the struggles of online learners and to discuss strategies to help those online learners. One of the great quotes I've found is, the greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. I never tell students that something's easy. I tell them it's hard because, you know, if you overcome something that's hard, then you've achieved something great. And if you can't get it done, then there's no shame in that. So thanks for joining us today. All right, I'm not able to see who all is with us today, so Marcella, can you kind of give me a shout out of who's with us today, please?
Yes, we have Cindy Blum, we have Judy, we have Mary, Renee, RJ Boutel, and Stephanie.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. What a great turnout today at the end of the semester. Gosh, that's really great. Thanks for being here. I would much rather have this be a dialogue than a monologue. So if you'd like to speak, please just tell Marcella that you have something to say, and just tell her through chat or raise a hand and she'll unmute you. We'd love to hear from you. Don't worry about interrupting or anything like that. It's much more fun when this is a back and forth, okay? So let's discuss it. In your experience, what are some of the primary issues or challenges to your online learners? Why might students drop or fail an online course? If you have a minute or feel like you want to say something, sure like to hear about it.
Renee would like to say something.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I would say what I'm hearing from my students is that they're not getting information on how to use Canvas if they're first time online. And I teach a course that a lot of non-degree students take. It's a required accounting course, but professionals also take the course so that they can take the CPA exam. So I've got quite a mix of first time in college students as well as all the way up to professionals taking one class. So Canvas is much easier to learn, much more intuitive, of course, than Blackboard. But I would say that's probably the challenge I hear from students, first of all. Second of all, they're not doing the work, so that I find that we need to be, our tools need to be able to track the students' progress. We have some tools in Canvas, but I'm switching to a digital textbook tool where I can track their reading and their homework as well. I find that before that, even good students wouldn't do the work, and then they're surprised when they don't do well in the course. That's harder to track in online if you're not using some kind of digital tool for things like reading and homework, not just things like assignment submission.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thanks. Have you? What are some of the what solutions have you offered in terms of the Canvas part?
Well, when I do my course overview, I show them the help screen, and I recommend that they do the Canvas tour for students.
Yeah.
I did the tour for instructors, you know, last spring or last fall, I guess it was. I found it quite helpful, and I know we can't require it, but it would be nice if, you know, for fully online students, it was required. Kind of like when we took CEL, you know, we had to do that Blackboard pre-test, if you will.
Sure.
I think that would, you know, because students don't always do things that are optional. So, right. And there's some great tools in Canvas that wouldn't take much time. Even the Canvas scheduler is quite easy to use, but they're,
right.
or assignment submissions, it's much more intuitive than Blackboard. But
I'm glad that you're finding that, and we're finding that too.
But they still need that prompt of, you know, how to do it, even though it's so much easier.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, Renee. Hopefully we can offer some more solutions as we go along today, but those are very real struggles. Is anybody else wanting to share at this point? No? Okay,
no
well,
one else so far.
All right, so if you change your mind, just jump on in, okay? So obviously there are many different issues. Anytime we're talking about human beings, the issues are complex. At the same time, if you've been teaching online long enough, you'll start to see that essentially there's nothing new under the sun. Just like any other professional, you're going to become familiar with the issues that your learners have, and you're able to address them proactively. We're going to take a look at the types of issues that students have, and we'll discuss some of the strategies for addressing them. According to a 2004 study by Song, Singleton, Hill, and Co., the components that online students perceived as helpful were course design, learner motive, helpful components. Yep, the course design, their ability to motivate themselves, their ability to manage their own time, and their level of comfort with the technology were the things that they perceived as being helpful to them. The things that they found to be challenges were that they had difficulty understanding course objectives, that they had a sense of isolation in an online class. They had time constraints, problems with time constraints, and then again, technical problems. What I find so exciting is that for the most part, these issues can be fixed with good course design and strong instructor presence. Now, sometimes the problems begin even before the class does. If the online courses are not clearly identified in the course catalog, or if students aren't reading carefully, they might register for an online course without even realizing it. This can be one of the reasons for students dropping a course early on. Another issue for maybe failure or not getting the grade that they want is that they fail to get their textbooks on time. One way to address this is to publish an announcement before the class begins, reminding learners that this is a fully online course and that they will need the textbook the first week of the course. Another major issue is accessibility. By law, every course, whether offered face-to-face, hybrid, or online, should be designed in such a way that every learner has equal access to the course content, regardless of their physical ability. This is called universal design. We're learning more and more about it as we get into it. Working online is obviously new, and I don't know anybody who doesn't want to be as accessible as possible. It's just a matter of teaching ourselves how to do it. I found a super website called WebAIM. Let's see if I can get into it. Okay, it's WebAIM is here, Web Accessibility in Mind. And they do such a great job they go into detail about the different disabilities, how the disability affects the user's experience on the web, like we'll click visual here. Talks about, glasses. I wear glasses. That is an impairment if I didn't have glasses. And we just take that for granted that we have that accessibility. But this website explains more in detail how this affects a visual impairment affects somebody who's trying to work online, what it's like for them to use the web, what different tools they have. This is a picture of a screen reader. It talks about that. Just really phenomenal stuff. Then one of the things that I really liked the best was this video here. It's from the point of view of students who are blind, and it shows you exactly what it's like for them to be working online as a visually impaired learner. Really, really great stuff. This type of information is helpful for us as we're designing our courses. We want to know what we can do to make it easier. Really, this site has so much great stuff. We could stay here all day, but we're not going to. I will share the resource with you afterwards in a document that I'll send with all the resources that we're using. At FAU, we're fortunate to have an amazing student accessibility services department. Go ahead and click on their website. It's just a great site. This is another site where we could spend all day, but I want to point you to just a couple of the fantastic resources that they have. First, there's a faculty guide. It states the faculty rights and responsibilities as well as protocols and procedures. Very, very helpful. It even has a statement down here that they recommend putting into your syllabus. Next, there's a series of digital brochures about a wide array of topics, including accommodations for students with specific disabilities. I'll click visual impairments just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So it just describes the impairment, what to do, and then how to accommodate students with a visual impairment. It's just a super resource. Finally, in regards to accessibility and accommodations, this was really super exciting. It's the Accessible Format Materials Portal. Anybody at FAU can use this. We use a tool, it's called Census Access. And what you do is you just upload any document or website or information that you want to upload, and it will send you very, very quickly an accessible format of your document. So I want to give you an example of this. I took the document that I'm going to share with you at the end of this and turned it into, well, first I'll show you the accessible PDF that it created, and it just sent it to my email. Whoops, blow this up a little bit. What it does is on all of these links, it just puts in where the hand is, and that's an automatic link to the resources that are linked there. Then, really cool, same document, they sent me an MP3, a link to an audio version of the document. So you get an idea of what it sounds like to the student, but you can also make these things available to students if you're so inclined. Now, comfort with technology. I want to just ask you to please excuse this little stereotypical image. Just because someone is older does not mean that they struggle with technology. But this little picture is a representative of a friend of mine. Her name is Blanche, and she's actually quite proficient on the internet and her computer, but she does struggle with her self-confidence when it comes to technology. She tells me all the time, oh, I'm no good in technology. When I first started at the Center for eLearning, I created a little course in Google Apps, and within that I created a little video. The target audience for that video was older learners who think that they're not technologically savvy. So I'd like to play it for you now, and as you watch it, please think about the benefits of the video in terms of pedagogical value.
Kathy?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I believe Renee wants to say something.
Oh, yeah, please.
Renee?
Hi, all. The portal, the accessibility portal tool you just showed us, converting the document, does that assume that your document has already been run through the accessibility tools in, say, Word or Excel first? You know, I'm not sure what the actual title is of the menu that you go through in Word, but, you know, you go in and it'll say, oh, this is a table which could not be read by a screen reader. Please, you know, redesign this table in your Word document. So is this in place of that, or do you still have to have your documents already gleaned for that through the accessibility of the Microsoft Office product?
That's a really good question. I actually don't know, but I do know that the instructions are pretty clear on there. I didn't try doing an Excel, a spreadsheet. I do know that spreadsheets are tough because tables in general, a screen reader has to read each cell individually. So that's a little more out of my wheelhouse, but we can find out.
Okay, yeah, and I was also thinking about tables inside Word documents, like in our syllabi. You know, we have our course outlines or other types of tables we put in a Word document, and I know in my syllabi it takes a lot to get that to be accessible in the Word tool. So I'm wondering if this thing is a substitute for that, and I could just upload my syllabi to this tool and solve that.
That's a really good question.
Okay, I'll test it.
Okay, well, and if I had my paper next to me, I would write it down. Yeah, let's try to remember. If somebody could just take notes, maybe let's go ahead and write that down, and we'll definitely get back. And it's a really, really good question.
I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, super! Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Student resources, as was it Renee or RJ that was talking about the students have a problem with Canvas support, needing to get comfortable with the technology. There are a lot of resources that we have, and if you look in the Canvas universal navigation bar there, in Help, FAU has purchased 24-hour white glove service from Canvas so that at any time, any user, student or faculty or staff can call them up or chat with them live online and ask them about the problem, ask them about the question. So it can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. When I was first learning Canvas, I called them about 3 times a day, at least. They always get back to you. It's not FAU, it's Canvas's professional staff, and they're really, really good. So that would be something I would definitely encourage students to use. When I have instructors come and talk to me, if they seem to be hesitant about calling the online support, I'll sit there and call with them and show the instructor how fast Canvas picks up the phone. They always send you a email to follow up and make sure that you got an answer to your question. It's really, really great. The other thing is the Canvas guides. This is everything you ever want to know about Canvas. There's a cool video guide here. It has videos on pretty much how to do anything. How to, let's see if I'm an instructor, how to create modules. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay. How to, if I'm an instructor, how to work in the grade book, how to add course content. It's videos on how to do all of this stuff. Now the Canvas guides is the same thing. It's just a huge knowledge base. Students are able to get into it too. They're able to get the same resources. You go in and you just say, all right, I want to learn about pages. And excuse me, there's a whole series of information here. How do I delete a page? How do I set a front page? And it has the little pictures of everything that you need to know how to do that. So between Canvas support and the Canvas guides, you really have a great ability to do what you need to do. Now, the other thing is that in the Center for eLearning, wow, we developed, I cannot believe I'm having so much trouble today. This is crazy. Okay, so at the Center for eLearning, we developed a Canvas template in which we put a whole list of free student success resources. I wish I could show it. I'll try again in a minute. If you can share it with your students up front, then they'll have it, and you know, it'll just be able to give them what they need. Time management. We've all been probably that student, and we know the student who, you know, it's the end of the semester and they just haven't managed their time well, asking for extensions or handing in poor level work, sometimes quitting at the last minute, just dropping the whole course in the last week of school. One professor told me exam week is high-risk season for grandparents. I can't tell you how many grandparents die during exam week. So, you know, this is a save the grandparents week in the exam time. How can we save the grandparents? So among the challenges listed by distance learners, we've got lack of motivation, a sense of isolation, and difficulty understanding the course objectives, understanding what they're supposed to be learning and why. In many cases, I think these things tie together. If I don't understand the purpose of the course, then I certainly won't be motivated to participate. If I don't participate, then I'm going to feel isolated. If I feel isolated, I don't want to do the work, and if I don't do the work, I won't understand the course. It's a real vicious cycle. Of course, the solutions are just as interwoven as the issues, but I think we can bring the combination of solutions under the heading of community. The instructor has the ability to build a sense of community using student-centered course design, open communication channels and teacher presence, and multifaceted levels of support. We've spoken about the different types of support, including the student accessibility services, Canvas support. I do want to point out that FAU Student Accessibilities Department also offers tutoring for online students, math help, writing help to fully online learners. That information is available in the Student Success section of the Canvas template, which I wish I could get a hold of. And I'll also include that information in follow-up documents that I'll send you after we're done. Now, there are lots of ways to establish open communication and teacher presence in the online course. Using a water cooler or frequently asked questions discussion board in the course can give students an opportunity to ask and answer each other's questions. And the instructor can answer common questions one time for everybody. If you get the same question over and over, all you need to do is say, did you check out the water cooler? That question's already answered there. As an instructor, if I regularly reach out to my students using announcements, emails, comments on papers, etc., letting them know when I'm available, my students are going to be more likely to ask questions. And I'm sure that you all have found it really needs to be done regularly. It might be tempting to think, my contact information's in the syllabus, they should let me know if they have any problems. But in a face-to-face course, physically showing up to the class establishes teacher presence. In an online course, teacher presence is established in a similar way. The students need to become very familiar with me so that we can have an active dialogue and communication. This can also be done through synchronous chats like we're doing right now, webinars, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of different tools to use that.
Kathy?
Yes.
Renee would like to say something.
Great.
Hi again.
Hi, Renee.
I just wanted to make a comment about the synchronized chats. I teach in the online BBA, Bachelor of Business Administration program. It's a sub-program within the College of Business, fully online courses, fully online degrees. And we are not allowed to schedule any synchronous work because it is a fully online course, and we have to consider the schedules of students around the world and, say, in the military.
Right.
So we can't, you know, if you want to do a one-on-one synchronous as an office hours where you make an appointment with a student, that's fine, but you can't do anything group because then some students would be missing out on that.
I'm not sure if this would jive with your department, but the way that I have done it with other instructors is that first, the chat is not required. It's optional. And second, it can be recorded so that if you do miss it, you can watch the recording and see what you missed. In WebEx, which is the tool we're using right now, those recordings go automatically into the Canvas course. You make your appointment in the Canvas course, and that's where students can access it. They can also access it through a mobile app. You know, it's real simple to get into. And then it's recorded, and it only stays up for 3 months. So when I write those things into a course, I'll write in also that, you know, these recordings are not to be shared online. You know, it's just for us, and it's going to disappear in 3 months too. So.
Well, that's good to know about the 3-month limit. And yes, I agree with you about the recordings, providing so that students who were not participating. And then, of course, there would need to be some component where the student that did watch it asynchronously would be able to interact with the professor in the same meaningful way later on if they needed to get the full benefit of whatever that tool was, the resource, the, you know, the purpose of that session.
That sounds great. And
yeah, because that was a pretty big surprise when I started teaching through that
program.
Well,
it does make sense. You know, we do want to be available to people anywhere in the world, and time is a real issue for all of us. And when you sign up for an online class, you want to be able to schedule everything at your convenience. At the same time, though, it does really help for learners to be able to see your face, to hear your voice, to hear each other. Sometimes you can see what someone's home looks like. She's in her kitchen cooking dinner and chatting with you guys at the same time, you know. It's pretty great. And maybe also establishing peer partners, kind of letting, if somebody's across the world, giving them someone that they can match up with, that they can connect with, and be able to have some synchronous time if they want. In Canvas, the big blue button I just learned is available for students to chat with each other within the class. So that's pretty cool. Didn't know
Great.
that either.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. Okay, student-centered course design. My experience, the toughest concept for faculty to embrace is not technology. It's actually this idea of a student-centered course. And it's not everybody, but those who have trouble with it, you know, it's really a common issue. It's not because of ego, it's simply because we were not taught in student-centered classes, especially in large core undergraduate courses. As an example, when I went to college, most courses were content-centered or instructor-centered. It almost felt like it didn't matter if there were 40 learners or 200. Everyone had to do the same work in the same way and turn it in at the same time. I remember walking confidently to a history exam when I was a freshman. My roommate said, "Why aren't you nervous?" I said, "Because I know this professor is not going to read our blue books. All we have to do is ramble on and throw in the key phrases, Industrial Revolution, Marxism, worldview, capitalism, and we'll get a good grade." I was right. My professor felt he had done his job by offering us the information, and it didn't really matter whether we got it or not. I mean, this affects the motivation for students to actually get into the course. A student-centered course, whether face-to-face, hybrid, or fully online, starts with the questions, what will my learners be able to do when they leave the course? And how will I know that they are able to do it? This focuses on the actions of the students, not on their understanding of content. Of course, application, analysis, and creation are higher cognitive processes. They're also more challenging, more engaging, and more fun. Lessons and assessments that move in these higher domains require more planning and more work on the part of the instructor. It's much easier to write and give a multiple choice or true-false test than it is to create and manage assessments for these higher level cognitive skills. We have to write rubrics, grade with them, which means we have to read the papers. We have to communicate expectations to the students, really think it through ahead of time. We need to follow up and answer their questions and provide timely and meaningful feedback. All of this is a lot of work, but the reward can be tremendous. Students who actively engage with the content, with their instructor, and with their colleagues are going to be more motivated. It just means more to them. Is there anything that you want to discuss about building community, establishing purpose in the course? Okay. So we've covered a lot of information today, but in summary, we've found that the primary struggles of learners in an online course tend to be issues of isolation, technical difficulties, and lack of motivation or time management. But we also think that the best solution to all of these issues is establishing a sense of community within the online learning environment. You and I are doing this today as we come together for these weekly webinars, and we learn from each other, we get ideas from each other, and we encourage each other. It's really fun for us to come together and hear from all of you. So really appreciate you being here. These are some of the resources that I used. I will send you a lot more. Those little people were created using Go Animate characters. They were great. And coming soon, we're going to have December 11th. We'll be discussing education policies and their impact on higher education. Really looking forward to that one. And then our last one for the semester will be a reflection on the semester, taking time to look back and see what lessons we can learn. And then after that, woohoo, it's winter break in Florida. So happy to be able to enjoy that time that we so deserve from working really hard this semester. Sure appreciate your time today. Your time is the most valuable thing that you have, and it's a real privilege that you are able to come and spend a whole hour with us today. I do apologize for the technical issues, and sure, thank you for joining us today.